What an excellent panel.
And Sophie, thank you for all of the support you've given in terms of getting us set up with the right technology, with the right training, and to make some phone calls tonight. So we're going to share some slides, get you all trained up. You'll be ready to go, not just tonight, but every night to come. So Sophie, if you're ready, let's dive in.
I'm ready. Let's go. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I cannot say it enough. With pretty much just a week until the election, it's getting late in Monday, so we're really getting down to the wire. These calls are so important. So thank you so much for dedicating your evening to helping us get Kamala Harris elected. Let's go on to the next slide, and we'll talk about the agenda for this call. Pretty straightforward. So we'll start out with who we're talking to, why it matters, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how to make calls using our dialer system. That will cover all of the tech stuff that you need to know, and then we'll talk about how to have quality conversations with the people that you're calling, and then we'll jump right into making calls. We'll get through this as quick as we can, but there's a lot of information that we have to communicate to you. So bear with us. You're going to hear a lot of us for the next probably 20 minutes or so, and then we're off to the races. So let's just keep on moving. Again, I want to thank you for being here on behalf of myself, on behalf of the campaign, Kamala and Tim. Everyone is so grateful to all of our volunteers and all of our coalitions. You all do such incredible, vital work. We are a people-powered campaign, and that does not just mean the staff. The volunteers, everyone, the work that you do is so important. The phone banking, calling, door knocking, everything you can do at this point is going to be the difference between winning and losing this election. Not might be, will be, right? Like, this is so incredibly vital. So thank you so much for this. We couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, sure. I can take this. 8 days. I mean, it's 1 week from tonight is the eve of the election. And then that's it. So we're going to leave everything out there tonight, leave it all on the field, and get this done. And part of the reason is, as Sophie mentioned, every call you make can make the difference, right? Not just because every call boosts that person's likelihood of turning out and voting for Harris by 4%, but also, I'm a baseball fan. I'm watching the World Series right now. Been great so far. The last election was decided by 44,000 people. That is less than the amount of people that can fit in Yankee Stadium or Dodger Stadium. So it is a very small amount of people, and every phone call and every vote makes the difference. And tonight's training is going to prep you. You don't need to click this QR code right now. The link's on our website. This training is going to get you ready to join either any other events or just phone bank on your own the rest of the way. You will be ready to go.
Perfect. All right. So let's get a little bit into who we're actually going to be talking to. So we can go on to our next slide. I am pleased to tell you that at this point, most of the phone calls that we're making are, these are pretty much, none of these are persuasion calls, which would be calling people who are on the fence or who are registered Republicans. None of that. At this point, we are calling people that we are pretty sure are going to turn out for Kamala to make sure that they have a plan to vote and to make sure that they are going to vote in this election. So ideally, the only persuading you should be doing is persuading people who just aren't sure. So that being said, there's 3 types of voters that you're probably going to be talking to. The first is those undecided voters. These are likely, again, not people who are very strongly planning to vote for Trump or to vote Republican down the ballot. These are people who are maybe between voting for Kamala and not voting at all, or who maybe just don't plan to vote. These are the people that we want to convince that Kamala is a good choice for this country. Not a better choice than Trump, even though we all know it's true, but a good choice on her own merit. So in these cases, we're going to ask them what issues are important to them. The dialer is going to include a ton of information for you if you want to talk about specific policy, if it's something that you're not super sure of, but also you can always say you don't know if someone asks a specific question. For example, if someone has like a really important policy that you don't know a lot about, that's okay. You can direct them to Kamala Harris's website. It's kamalaharris.com. There's tons of information there for them to learn on their own. You are sharing your own feelings, your own experiences, and whatever knowledge that you think is helpful. So you're going to be asking them for them support, and success in this case doesn't necessarily mean they leave the call, ballot in hand to go vote for Kamala. It just means that you had a positive conversation and you feel like that they've taken some of what you've said to heart, right? So that's really the goal there. The second type of voter you might interact with is the supportive voter. So this is people who we know support the campaign, who are educated, who know who Kamala Harris is and what she stands for. So these people, even though they're supportive, might not have a strong plan to vote. So that's the goal for these callers. If you talk to them and they say, oh, yeah, I'll vote for Kamala, probably, you say, awesome. Do you have a plan? Are you voting by mail? Are you voting early? The dialer will include information for like voting information for their state. So you can say, these are the dates. These are the times. You can send them iwillvote.com and tell them to look up their local polling location, all of that stuff. You want to leave that call and that person has a plan to vote. Okay, that's the goal for these supportive voters. The last type is the best type. We love this type of voter. These are people who are so excited. Maybe they've even already voted for Kamala. These are the people where you're going to say, I'm taking my evening to phone bank. Why don't you join me next time, right? You're going to direct these people to go.kamalaharris.com and tell them to sign up for volunteering. Ideally, they'll do it right there on the phone with you. That's the best possible outcome for this because we all know we're busy people. We have a lot to be stressed out about a week out from the election. So if they get off the phone with you without having signed up for a volunteer slot, odds are they're not going to. So really try to get them to do it on the phone with you. That's the best outcome for this situation.
All right, let's talk about how we're going to do this.
All right. I hope you guys are ready for a lot of nitty gritty. So the things that you need for this are a fully charged computer, tablet, or smartphone, any internet browser. Any of them should work. We've tested it with pretty much all of them. And I know you have both of those things because you're here on this call with all of us. Lastly, headphones, especially ones that can connect to your phone. This is optional, but it does just make everything easier because there's going to be multiple audio streams between this call right here and the calls that you're going to be doing through our dialer. So if you have all this stuff, you're ready to go.
Nice. And you can head just to YIMBYsforHarris.com and you'll be able to just make one click and open up Scale to Win, which is the system that we are going to use. So you can do that right now.
I'm also just going to go ahead and drop that in the WhatsApp just so that everyone there has it as well.
Thank you. And while we're making calls, Sophie's going to be in the WhatsApp to answer any questions around tech support, messaging, anything you need. You can pop into a chat with her if you need to talk something out. So she's going to be a resource all night in support of you. When you click the link, it's going to make you choose your state by that number 1 arrow. And once you've done that, that's just it tells us where you are. That's helpful. But I think tonight we're calling Nevada and Arizona, right? Because of the time zone. And you'll do that by clicking that bottom button, which says start making calls now. The one at the top right will work too, but YIMBYs won't get credit. So use the one in the bottom left, and that's going to get you there.
Absolutely. So once you've opened the dialer, this is what you're going to see. Before we start anything, if you all want to follow along with us as we walk you through this, we've included these lovely, helpful little screenshots, but I know personally, it's always a lot easier for me to follow along. So if you want to take the moment to open this up, highly recommend that you do that. So what you'll do once you get to this point is you're going to click on the preview script button. Highly recommend doing this before you start calling. This is going to show you how the system works and also everything that you're going to be expected to say. It's great to be able to go through that before you're actually live on a call with someone, especially if it's your first time. It's pretty easy to freeze up. So you want to make sure you're comfortable first.
You might not know this about me, but when I'm not doing YIMBYs for Harris, I direct actors in big shows. So I can tell you that it would help you to practice the script out loud, actually. Honestly, you could probably go cold, but if you want to just familiarize yourself with it, not a bad idea to click through. There's different options for you to click based on how the conversation goes that sort of helps flow you. You can also already see on that little toolbar to the far right, there's going to be information about things like polling places, just stuff that you can draw on to help. But if you are feeling nervous at all or you just want to practice, it's a really good idea to just speak it out loud. And you can start putting things in your own words, which you do have permission from the campaign to do. Be you, be authentic. So once you open it up, you can just click talking to the correct person and navigate through if you want to preview it all.
Absolutely. So just to walk you through this a little bit more, when you'll see this bar at the top, that'll be there the whole time. Whenever that is green, once you're actually in this and not in the preview, that means that you are connected to a caller. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but as soon as that bar turns green, you can launch right into your little speech. So once you're talking to that person, once you've introduced yourself and found out if the person you're looking for is on the other end of the line, you're going to select a canvas result option. So how the dialer works as you click through is it kind of functions like a flow chart. So what option you select here for canvas result is going to affect the next thing that is given to you to speak over the line to your caller. So in this case, and we can go to the next slide here, the ideal situation is going to be talking to the correct person. So they answer the phone, they're on your list, they're the name that you're looking for. So that is the best thing to click. That is what is going to take you on to the rest of the script. Pretty much anything else is going to end the call, or at least is going to take you to a little message and then you'll hang up the phone. So these are all pretty specific. Most of them are also self-explanatory. The one point I would really like to make here is that if you're not quite sure which of these applies to a given situation, we just ask that you select answering machine. The reason for that is that if you select something like deceased or do not call, or wrong number when you're not 100% sure that that's the situation, that will permanently remove this person from our calling list, which we don't want to do unless we're positive. So if you're not super confident in what to click, just say answering machine. That's totally fine. And again, it says it here, but only select busy/call back if the person explicitly says, I would love to talk to you. I can't right now. I would like to be called back, right? So just don't select that unless that's the case. We don't want to be bothering people who don't want to be bothered. But all of this, I hope, is pretty self-explanatory. Again, if you have any questions, I will be in the WhatsApp, so you can always come there and ask me.
Sophie, you want to take this one?
I can take this one. Absolutely. I feel like I'm just talking at you all, but I hope this is helpful. So step 4 will be select your call method. Now there's two ways that you can do this. Ideally, I think the best way is to have the dialer up on your computer and to use your phone for audio. That's going to give you the best quality audio generally. And also it means that there's less to deal with when it comes to the 2 audio sources of this call and then the phone banking that you'll be doing. So that is what I recommend. If you don't have 2 devices with you, that is totally fine. You can do everything from one device. It just might involve a little more switching things around, right? But ideally, you will be selecting call with this device plus phone for audio, and that's what we're going to sort of walk through in the next few slides. But if you are using your computer to call, it will be very similar.
Big thing if you're using your phone is it's going to start a session, and that's just going to roll through all the calls. So put your phone aside, don't hang up, keep it going through the whole your whole sprint. When you first log in, it is going to prompt you to put name, email, phone, stuff like that. Nobody sees that. It's just campaign stuff, security stuff. So nobody that you're calling is going to see your phone number or your name or anything like that.
Yeah, so once you put that information in, it's going to give you a phone number to call. Calling that phone number will connect your phone to the dialer. I'd like to reiterate 2 things that Steve just said. 1, after that point, please don't hang up your phone. If you do, it'll disconnect you from the dialer, which is not a big deal. It's very easy to reconnect. It just takes time and it's kind of annoying. So what I recommend, and part of why we recommend having headphones, is you connect your headphones to your phone, call into the dialer, put your phone face down, and don't touch it till you're done phone banking, because there's so much muscle memory to hang up on there, but you'll be hanging up on your computer screen instead. Also, to reiterate, your phone number will not show up when you make calls. Your data is completely safe. What is going to show up on their phone is the phone number for their local campaign office. So if they try to call back, it'll go to the campaign office, never ever to you.
When you do start your calls, what's happening is it's making multiple calls at once, looking for someone who picks up. When somebody picks up, it's going to flash a green bar at the top and also make a little noise like boop to let you know they've picked up. Something to note, it is possible that they've said hello and then it's gone, shoot, I have to connect you, and then made the boop. So you might be starting a cold conversation. You might be starting after they've said hello and you didn't hear it. It's fine. Jump right in, say hi, introduce yourself. As if they did say hello.
Absolutely. And then when you finish your script, you can select end survey. If you misclicked anything or you want to update something, you can just hit the back button and change your responses afterwards. Just make sure that if they haven't hung up, you have, and you can end the call at the top of the screen there. You can see at the end of the green bar, there's an end call button. Just press that instead of hanging up on your phone. That'll end the call. You can do everything you need to do and then click end survey. And that will move you on. So after that point, please, again, do not hang up on your phone. I've done it. It's really annoying. try to just keep everything to the dialer. Past that point, if you need to take a break, drink some water, do whatever you got to do, that's fine. And then hit continue calling. The dialer will start up again and it'll connect you to the next person.
All right, let's talk through how to talk to people.
Yeah, again, this should be pretty straightforward, but just to give you a few tips. The first thing, Steve put this very well, talk as soon as you hear the beep or see that green light. Because of how the dialer works, you just might not have heard their greeting. Totally fine. They probably said hello, even if you didn't hear it. Just jump right into your speech. If you delay too long, they'll think you're a bot or a butt dial and they'll hang up the phone. So make sure you really jump right in there. Second thing I want to cover is to focus on the personal and the positive, right? I think it's very easy to, focus too much maybe on the statistics or focus too much on all the reasons that Trump is bad for this country. But we really want to be focusing not on that, but on all the reasons that Kamala is good for this country. So we want to keep things positive. We want to avoid bashing. We really are just going for explaining why Kamala Harris, in a vacuum, not against anyone, is a really, really great candidate and would be a really good president for this country. So that is what you're trying to do. You're going to speak from personal experience. If you want to take a moment before the call just to think, why are you here? Why are you here on a Monday evening making these phone calls, dedicating your time to this? Like, what is it that motivates you other than spite against Donald Trump? What positive things motivate you to do this work? And keep those in mind while you're doing your calls. Thirdly, I mentioned this earlier. It's okay to say you don't know. If someone asks you a really specific question, you're not an expert. You're a passionate volunteer, right? And you can tell them that. You can tell them that you're not here to be an expert. It's a great question that they've asked. If they'd like to look it up, they can go to kamalaharris.com and they can take a look at her platform there, and hopefully that will answer their question, right? Don't feel the need to answer everything. It's okay not to know things. Lastly, follow the script, but you can also make it your own. So our scripts are based on research. They're very carefully written for the voters we're trying to reach. So we do ask that you stick to the script pretty closely. That might get difficult at times. People can ask questions that we didn't prepare for, but whenever possible, stick to the script. Of course, you can change the language around. We want it to feel natural coming out of your mouth and not like you're just reading off of a page. But generally, we ask that you stick to the script as tightly as possible, language notwithstanding.
Good tips for conversations in general. When they say something, acknowledge it, right? People like to hear their own name. They like to hear, know that they've been heard and to hear what they've said sort of repeated back in your own words. It's also great to know kind of where they're coming from and really give them space to share. You can connect by sharing your personal story, right? You don't have to agree with what they said, but you can share kind of on an emotional level something that's moved you that maybe resonates with what they've shared. The campaign's on people really respond to hope and positivity, right? They don't just want to know why Trump is bad. They want to know why Kamala is good and the impact she will have in their lives. We've heard a little bit about that today. So share why she gives you hope, and frame this as a clear choice and ask them to choose. You don't get what you don't ask for. So ask them to vote for Kamala Harris. Ask them to make a plan to turn in their ballot. Ask them to volunteer. Make that ask, make it a clear choice, and give them the opportunity to actively make that choice.
All right, so let's go make some calls. Hopefully everyone feels prepared after our little spiel. If you run into any tech issues, again, I will be on WhatsApp, so you're welcome to send me a message there in the chat or just DM me. I'm also going to be dropping a link in the chat to a Google Meet. I'll be in there if you need to talk something through face-to-face. Sometimes these tech issues just are complicated and it's easier to talk it out. So anything you need, I will be there to hopefully help you out. And thank you all again. This work is so important. Let's go make some calls.
Cool. We are ready to go. Let's win this thing. If you're feeling pumped up and ready, and honestly, it is very intuitive and fun. Jump right in and you can start making calls. If you need a little bit more hype, I got a sizzle right now with some advice and words of wisdom and encouragement from our electeds. And then this feed's gonna go quiet for a little bit, and we'll come back at 50 past the hour, and I'll throw that up at screen right now. So thank you so much, Sophie, for joining us, training us. And Sophie will be in the WhatsApp group for all of your tech supports and conversational needs. Here is some words of encouragement, and then we'll hit the phones for our first phone banking sprint.
First, I want to thank everybody for doing this, because you all are going to be key to the victory on November 5th. I'm telling you, this is a grind. She's still the underdog. Understand that. And so your work and what you're doing, believe it, take it from me. I worked in every campaign since Shirley Chisholm in 1972. So I know the work of phone bankers and grassroots organizing. And so please continue to do this, and know that I'm on the National Advisory Board for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and they're very grateful for all of this work.
Just be friendly and getting conversations, identify with people. I've done, hundreds of hours of phone banking, door to door, texting. And it's just establishing that human relationships where they're at, right? Like, are they thinking of voting? What's their plan to vote? If they're not sure if they're going to vote, like, what do they care about? If they're one of these, unicorn, like, undecided people that you somehow find, how are they undecided? I don't know. But we don't want to, you don't want to doubt that. That's just where they are. How do you engage with them around your excitement for Kamala Harris and what she'd bring?
I've done a ton of phone banking in my life. First of all, you're going to get a lot of people not answering. You get a lot of people who don't want to talk. That's part of it. Listen, let people tell you how they feel, and try to meet them where they are and tell them why you feel the way you do. And if you get one or two people to pledge to vote, or one or two people to consider your argument, that's a success, because we win this thing in volume, right? And thank you for getting on this call. All praise to the leader, Ezra Klein, and let's win this thing.
And so when you pick up the phone, you're making a difference, both in this election and in someone's life. You're reaching people who care about their communities, their families, and their futures. And every call you log is a step toward ensuring that we elect a leader who will fight for affordable housing and make real progress on housing equity.
Get that extra vote for Kamala Harris. Hopefully you're calling into the swing states and talking to folks where they're at. Remember, they've been deluged in the swing states with tons of ads. I mean, again, try to show you're a person and make that connection, and sort of talk about that bright future and the opportunity that Kamala Harris brings. And let's get out there and win this.
So thank you all very much. You're doing the work that needs to be done to make sure that our freedoms aren't taken away by Donald Trump. I mean, I hate to even raise this right now, but he's on a roll. He wants to destroy this country and set up a dictatorship. We know that, you know that. He's taken away our freedoms already, the reproductive freedom, our voting rights they're trying to dismantle, our right to organize they're trying to dismantle, all of our rights. This is about your freedoms. This is about your rights, in addition to housing. So just know this, the big picture is what you're doing. Phone banking is protecting our freedoms and protecting our democracy. And I just want to thank you all so much for that.
Look, what happens next is up to us. It's not up to Nate Silver. It's not up to the next Quinnipiac poll. It's not even up to the candidates. It's up to us. And so to the extent that you're feeling anxiety, channel it all into the vote getting. There's an old story of the Iowa caucuses. And it was the year Obama won. And the campaign manager, I can't find the clip, but it's an old HBO thing. And the campaign manager's name is Paul Tooze. He's in the room, and in the background, you can see all the pod save dudes before they were famous and whatever. And he goes, campaign managers knocking doors, finance knocking doors, comms knocking doors. The candidate is knocking doors. I want this place empty. We are knocking doors. And so the reason I want you to understand that attitude is there is no more strategy to be developed. There is no more money to be raised. There is only communicating with voters. So to the extent that you're worried about this outcome or excited about this outcome, you are doing the main thing that can be done right now, which is communicating with voters, turning out our people and making the case. So I just want to thank you. Please get after it.
This is our time, and this is your moment. So let's put it all out there, and let's go win.